Welcome back to Studio B. Adam Shelf with Devin Fry. Devin, my man, good to see you again. It's been a crazy week.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we're supposed to talk Wednesday. We're supposed to talk Thursday. Here we are talking Friday. But you know what I like about Friday? The Friday Night Lights, baby.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of good things about Friday. But the biggest one is football.
Yes.
That's how I've always looked at it. I know it's also like the end of the week and whatever, but not if you're me, I guess. Going to North Dakota State tomorrow. But
well, I mean, and that's such a great thing to talk about, too. Towson coming in off a very close loss to the number 5 team in the country,
fifth-ranked Villanova.
And so just great stuff to talk about today.
Towson also played Cincinnati very well, too. So they're another team that I feel like, I see it all the time I'm very deep in Bison fan social media now, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, wherever it is. And there's always talk whenever they play the non-conference teams about how NDSU should just be able to handle them because they're just not familiar with the name. You know what I mean? That's what we ran into with East Tennessee State last week. East Tennessee State is a good football team.
And they were showed they were much better than people thought.
And so, I truly think East Tennessee State's a playoff team, and that's we'll have to wait to see how that pans out. But no, NDSU obviously coming off of Coach Polisek called it an ugly win last Saturday against East Tennessee State. They got down early, and then it was just kind of a back and forth knockdown drag out the rest of the way. NDSU was down by 12 with just over 2 minutes left. I was actually texting Eric, preparing him for this is how our coverage goes if this game goes this way. And then 2 minutes later, I was like, never mind, ignore everything I just said. And so pulling victory from the jaws of defeat it's something you have to prepare for. And as Coach Polisek said, it's better to do it in September than, say, if they had to do it right before the playoffs. So
I was moving most of that day.
Yeah.
And so, I actually sat down, and I'm having a burger. And earlier in the day, my dad texted me, hey, how do you think NDSU is going to do? And they're going to win by 40.
Yeah.
And so I'm
interesting.
We're down 13 with 3 minutes left in the game.
So it was an interesting game for sure, and a ton of lessons to be learned from this. And I talked to I had Mason Hofstedt come in the studio because every week on Fridays now we bring in a former NDSU player, talk about where they're at in the season, their last matchup, and the matchup this coming week. And I got to talk to Mason Hofstedt, who I feel like we were just covering him, which was weird. My last couple of weeks have been talking to Jake Cava and Mason Hofstedt, so it's like you guys should still. I feel like you guys should still be out there. Mason Hofstedt still has the hair going, by the way.
And it looks great.
So you can hear more from Mason and I. But we do have a clip of me and him talking about the East Tennessee State game and kind of what you can learn from those kind of ugly wins. And he had some good stuff to say about it. And of course, this is just a little snippet. There will be a lot more coming up tonight at 10. So stay tuned. But for now, here's a little bit of our chat with Mason Hofstedt.
All right, let's get this queued up.
38-35 win over East Tennessee State, a matchup that was closer than a lot of people imagined. Coach Tim Polisek called it an ugly win. What are some of the lessons that you can take from a win, an ugly win, like Coach Polisek said?
Yeah, I think you can kind of sneak away from
Should be a great game.
I'm excited for it.
I love the new segment.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And it's fun. And like I said, it's just it's been a really good response to it as well with the players I brought in. You get a chance to come in and just talk ball for a little bit, which they haven't really had as much of an opportunity to do since their playing days came to an end. So it's been fun. It's been really fun. And so it's homecoming weekend as well, and so that's a big deal every season. But this year, Craig Bohl's getting inducted into the Bison Athletics Hall of Fame. The guy that started it all, winning as head coach in NDSU football history, he guided them kind of through the transition from D2 up to the FCS level, and then won their first 3 Division I national championships. So it's a very deserving honor. And
I think it's so cool too. Polisek is a true disciple of Bohl.
Yeah.
And so I think that and that's one of the reasons I loved the Polisek hire.
Yeah.
And just hearing that earlier this week in the press conference too, it just really cemented that they clearly have familial type of care for each other.
Right, and Coach Polasek compared Coach Bowl to his father. Like he sees him as a father figure, and so this is a special day for Coach Polasek. It's a special day for Coach Bowl, and then the players that are on the roster, they know how important Craig Bowl is to just the history and the lifeblood of this program, and we talked to them a little bit this week as well. So like, just because he was before their time doesn't mean that they don't appreciate the impact he has.
It's still the godfather.
Exactly. And so yeah, no, NDSU's game has a ton of reasons to be excited for it. It's also the last non-conference game, like kind of your last chance to work out some tweaks until Valley Play starts.
Yeah.
And so it's all kinds of reasons to be excited for it, and then after that, we get Valley Play.
Yeah, and it seems like every year we hear the same sound bites, how good the Valley is, but every year the Valley really does get better and better. And this year, no exception.
No, and like it seems very even too. Obviously, I think North Dakota State and South Dakota State are still the top dogs.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a lot more parity than we were giving the Valley credit for preseason.
Well, you know what? One team that I, wasn't so high on, a team I thought was, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought North Dakota was going to take a big step back.
Yeah.
They lost so many players, including their star quarterback.
Yep.
UND is handling their business so far, and they're taking on San Diego this weekend.
Yeah, no, they've made a ton of progress, and Simon Romfo had his best day as a passer last week against Idaho State, and they handled Idaho State kind of exactly the way that you're supposed to, which is a good sign for where the program's at. Obviously, the Montana game was what it was, an insane comeback, but then when you go out there and take care of business like you're supposed to against teams that you are better than, like they were the superior team to Idaho State, they went out and showed that. Simon Romfo had, I think, 280 yards through the air, which, like, he's been very dangerous with his legs, but through the air on Saturday, he took a big step there as well. And so they really had two tough games to start the year, at Iowa State and then hosting Montana. And so, like, those two really tough tests right away, now they kind of get to settle in and like see what they're really good at. They got tested by the two of the best teams that they're going to see this year, and so now it's seeing where that those steps will take them as they move forward here. And that's another opportunity that they have this week. One last non-conference game against San Diego, another team that they should do well against.
Toreros,
the San Diego Toreros, which is a bullfighter.
A bullfighter.
Fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've learned a lot about San Diego. Not the city this week, but the school.
program.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Not San Diego State, which was what Google thought I was looking for every time I typed in San Diego football.
Well, San Diego State is what ESPN many times has
also
thought
that's
South
what South Dakota State is. Yeah,
so.
no. So if they just really want traffic to go to the San Diego State program,
Yeah,
which I respect.
And I love their helmets.
San Diego State.
Yeah.
Not San Diego. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
with the Aztec thing going there. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it'll be a fun game this week. Like I said, UND should handle business once again in their home arena. Their third of 4 consecutive home games in this early part of the season. So they love playing in the Alara Center, and they get to do it a lot. So. And
then one game. Honestly, I think the game I'm looking forward to the most this weekend is actually Central Cass v. Kindred.
That is completely fair. It's that one. I look forward to that one every year. Last year they started the season with Central Cass and Kindred, and then it was kind of like, okay, like we both know that these are playoff teams.
And that game was awesome.
It was great, yeah. And so it's going to be another fun matchup out in Castleton. They always get great crowds out there. So does Kindred.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be and really like this is we're in week 4 of high school football. This is going to decide the top team out of that region going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams legit heavyweight contenders for the championship of championships.
This could be a state championship preview, depending on how the bracket shakes out for the state tournament. And it's so odd to be talking about, like, high school football just started, and we're talking about playoff implications. But that's very much what this game is.
This kind of matchup, yeah.
And also, it's it's not a cross town rivalry. They're not in the same town, but like it feels like it. I mean, they're just close enough. All these kids know each other. They want to beat each other, and they do. This happens in every sport. We've seen it in basketball, baseball, on the football field especially. And so Eric Moon is going to be live from Castleton tonight, and he actually went out and talked to the teams earlier this week, and we talked to them just a little bit about what this rivalry means to these programs. And you get to hear first from Central Cass head coach Tommy Butler and his incredible beard, which
that is a nice, strong beard.
It's a very strong beard.
But, all right.
Yeah, I'll let that play. I'll let the beard speak for itself.
Everything. It's crosstown rivals. It's homecoming. Kindred's been great for 4 or 5 years. We're trying to nip at their heels. We've gotten into a state championship. They've won 2. We've been battling them in basketball and softball and baseball. It's everything, right? It's red versus blue. If you ask, I'm sure if you ask Coach Berg, had the same thing, right? If I had to lose every game but could win one, this is the one we all want.
We play Central Cass in a lot of different sports. In proximity, we're close, our towns are, and all the kids know each other. And I think, when you put those pieces together and, you just got the history of past games and whatever sport it is, people pay attention to it, and they're excited for this matchup.
It's going to be huge. There's always a lot of people at these games, and it's our homecoming game, so there's going to be a lot of people here for that.
It's always a fun game against them, like rivalry games, and like Kindred travels well, Castleton travels well, so atmosphere is always great. It's just always a fun game.
It's literally what you want from a high school football rivalry.
The homecoming game too for Central Cass.
Yeah, so I mean it's a blast, and so we're excited for this one. We're pulling out all the stops. I told Eric normally he comes back and does stuff in studio with me. I was like, if this is coming down to the final whistle, you're staying in Castleton.
I love that. That's a great call. I mean, those games do have a knack of coming down to the wire. One of the telltale signs of a great rivalry is when no matter what the records are, kind of all bets are off.
Yeah.
And there have been years where maybe one of the teams is down, like having a down year. Central Cass last year straight up wasn't the juggernaut Kindred was.
Right.
When they met in the playoffs, it was
didn't matter.
Extremely tight throughout.
And that's what's going to happen at this level, in any matchup you can look forward to. It's one of the things that make high school football so special is you never know what's going to happen week in and week out. And I'm excited for this one. We have more games, of course, on Friday Night Live to look forward to. I wanted to go out to Holly tonight, Barnesville against Holly. They play for a paddle, and so I got to be out. Anytime,
Absolutely.
If you have a trophy that you play for, especially if it's something fun like a paddle, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm a simple man. I love rivalry trophies. Shanley is playing host to Bismarck tonight. We're going to have highlights from that one. Horace is playing out in St. Mary's. We're getting highlights sent to us from that
Beautiful.
one. And Cheyenne is in action as well. They are out west against, I forgot who they're playing, but we're going to have highlights from their game.
And we'll find out.
Stay tuned. It's a surprise. I should have written this down. I knew I should have.
All right. We got our NFL picks up next, but there's one man who's been above the rest so far, Gabriel Osler, king of the picks so far, and he's going to join us. He's somehow in first place. It's been a bloodbath. I think first place might as well be last place. Anyway, stay tuned. We're going to have him join us for our NFL picks segment. We'll be right back on Valley News Now.
king of improvisation.
All right, we're back in studio, and the picks king so far, but it's like way too early to be the king.
It's week 2, week 3.
Picks
Sorry,
guy. It's week 3. But how do you feel?
I would feel that you would want me to have joy in my life because we are such good friends that you would recognize, yes, things are fleeting, but you have to take those moments and really seize on them while they're still there because it could be week 4, Devin could be winning all of a sudden, I'm massively depressed. So for this moment, I have to revel in it.
I'm just jealous because I got
That's what
5
it is.
picks
That's what it
right
is.
last week, and you got 10.
Yeah.
That's twice as many.
Wow.
Still bad, Gabe.
Oh.
Still bad.
Okay, all right.
Did he get 10 or was it
It
9?
was 10. It was 10.
But
yes,
twice as
yeah.
many as me.
Well, keep criticizing me while you're down there, getting half as many picks correct as me and being half as tall as me.
10.
Ooh,
10 out of
that's fighting words.
10 out of 16 is still a D. He has a good point.
Yeah.
Like
He was the only D. Everyone else was F.
I was an F, yeah.
There were a few F plus.
I think I was just straight up F, not F minus, and so I'll take it.
Yeah, we don't do F minus.
I mean,
Oh.
the full extent of the humility that you'll get from me is I was watching the games with you and I was seeing all of my incorrect picks roll in and I was like, wow, there's no chance that I got any sort of success in this endeavor. And then all of a sudden the picks come back and I'm like, well, everyone was worse than me. So
You have that going for you, which
yes,
is nice.
no, failure underneath you is still a form of success.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Well, we are rolling through here. Let's get right through game 1 already. The New York Jets taking care of business against the
No, that
Patriots.
didn't happen.
It did.
No.
Yeah.
That sucked.
No, well, no one told the Patriots because they never even showed up.
Aaron Rodgers
They
carved
did
them
not-
up.
They did
It was
not get
awesome.
off the bus.
And
No, my
everyone picked the Jets. Yeah.
we were gonna go like there's no point really hammering it because the game already happened. But as the resident Patriots expert, I just have to say, they played the first week very tough, very tenacious against a complacent Bengals team. Then last week they go in against the Seahawks. They have to go into overtime. Then they're on a short week on Thursday. You kind of knew that it was going to fall apart because this is a team that
picked
has to
against
have
them. Yeah.
everything go perfect. They
Yeah.
have no offensive firepower. They have to hold you to a 16-10 defensive battle. They couldn't do that against Rodgers. They're not going to be able to do that against many teams, unfortunately.
All right, moving down the line. Anyone not have Cleveland?
Not me.
Nope.
No.
I went with the dog pound on this one.
I think it's one of those things where you just have to believe teams until they show you otherwise, and New York continues to show you that they're not a competent
They are
offense.
bad.
So
Yes.
what are you going to do?
Until proven otherwise, they are bad.
Yes.
I think the Bears are better than the Colts. Still not sure about the Colts, but I think it's a recipe for disaster for Anthony Richardson, who has turned the ball over against a team that specializes in takeaways. It might be an ugly game, but I got the Bears pulling it out.
I do. I have that as well. I think that it's basically comes down to the defenses. And if Indianapolis can't stop Malik Willis, then I feel like Caleb Williams should have a slightly better shot.
Bears are going to kick 5 field goals and win.
No, that's fine by me.
We'll take it. Houston against Minnesota. That one's at the bank, and Minnesota right now statistically like the best defense in the NFL.
Right.
I went with the current NFL MVP, Sam Darnold, and the Minnesota Vikings.
And they made us look bad. All of us that picked San Francisco last week, thinking that was going to be a runaway. So
I
it's
picked the
probably-
Vikings last week.
It's probably heretical to pick against them, but I am still much bigger on the C.J. Stroud Express than
That's
I am the
fair.
Sam Darnold
That's fair.
one.
I get it. I don't fault you for that at all.
All right.
What'd you go with?
Thank you. I was so worried that you were faulting me.
Houston.
don't worry, I got you.
Houston. So
Okay.
you're going Houston?
I'm also Houston, yes.
Houston, Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yep.
All right. I got New Orleans beating Philly.
I've been told by the resident New Orleans expert in the room that the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl this
Yes.
year. So in that instance, I cannot possibly pick against them.
That's fair. I didn't want to speak with too much hyperbole, but this Saints team this year might be the best team of all time, and so I went with I picked Philadelphia because as soon as I pick the Saints, they
Yes.
will lose.
And
so
I'm aware of that karmic
Yep.
decision making.
So yeah, you just did it.
nothing wrong with that.
So yeah, go. I'm going to say go Birds on the air, so that the Saints win.
Okay. That's great. I love that. L.A. Chargers at Pittsburgh Steelers.
Herbert's questionable.
Herbert is questionable,
But I
and
went with the
also even
Chargers.
when he's been healthy, that offense has not
Right.
shown anything noteworthy at
Besides
all.
Joe Alt.
Right.
Joe Alt has been a machine.
Joe, and hey,
But-
shout out to the University of Notre Dame. That's one time that I will plug it for our offensive lineman heritage. But yeah, that's not a team that has shown anything spectacular. Pittsburgh has a fantastic defense. They've been able to run their contain-based game plan, making Justin Fields not look terrible. Got to go with them at home.
Pittsburgh's defense has actually been pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just winning ugly, but they're winning. And I think they are. It's always tough to play in Pittsburgh. I don't think this Chargers team's that good, frankly.
No,
That's
they're
fair.
not.
They
That's
will
fair.
be better in a few years. I love Harbaugh as a coach.
Yeah.
Right now, Steelers are the better football team. Give me Pittsburgh.
I agree with everything you guys said. I picked
Taking
the
it.
Chargers.
All right. There you go. Tampa Bay
The essence of
hosting
Devin Fry.
Denver. Denver's really bad. Anyone take the Broncos?
Nope.
Nope. All right, moving on.
All right, moving on. Green Bay, better than I thought. But hey, Jordan Love might play.
Jordan Love might play. I went with Green Bay just because Jordan Love might play.
Well, in that case, I would maybe ask for a last-minute alteration. But assuming that Malik Willis is going to be the starter, they won last week where he was not asked to do really much of anything. I think it was 17 pass attempts on the day or something like that for him. That was a complete ground thrashing coming from them. Tennessee is a much stiffer defense. They're going to ask him to do something. So it's a completely different animal if Jordan Love is in there. But if Malik Willis is in there, give me the Titans.
I should have gone Titans after hearing everything you said, but I went with the Packers officially, unfortunately.
We're picking off of Brian.
Officially, unfortunately.
Nobody picked Carolina,
This is
right?
just paper, but it's
No one
just,
took the
I
Panthers.
did.
You did?
I did.
Explain yourself.
So, well, because they were actually more successful last year when Andy Dalton was out there, when Bryce Young was out with injury. And this is a Dave Canales, oh my gosh, I might get fired game 6 if things keep going that bad kind of game. He pulled the plug on Bryce Young. He's putting Andy Dalton out there. He is going to be frothing at the mouth the entire week going, please don't let me lose my job already. They're going to come in with an insane amount of desperation and a decently mature, talented veteran quarterback. And I just don't think that Vegas has anything special that's going to be able to stop them.
Andy Dalton swayed this man into picking
Andy
a team.
Dalton, yes.
I just want that
And
to
it's
be made clear.
there's a lot of ugly games on the docket. This is
Yeah.
another 17-12 looking game. But,
Yeah.
what has Vegas done to inspire any sort of confidence in the first 2
Nothing.
weeks of the season?
Nothing, but more than Carolina.
More than Carolina. It's definitely one of the ones kind of against the grain where I'm trying to get one up on you guys.
That's
but
fair, that's
if
fair. I
Carolina
get it.
is going to win an early season game, it's this one.
I get it.
All right, rolling right along here. Miami, on my picks, I see that I took the Dolphins over Seattle. I regret it already.
Interesting.
So I'm going with
Huge
Miami.
Skylar Thompson guy
Big guy.
Don't feel good about it.
No, you
No, you
shouldn't. There's been nothing to indicate that this offense can operate well when Tua's not in there, and Seattle is a fairly stringent defense playing at home. I think that it's a close one. There's always the chance that Tyreek Hill just goes jet sweep crazy and they figure it out, but it's not looking likely to me at this point.
I really don't have too big of a reason other than the quarterback position for not picking Miami. That's all I really got.
Arizona hosting the Lions.
Anyone pick Arizona?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Kind of because the Lions burned me last week.
That's
I
fair.
expected them to show up a lot more, and they didn't. But also, I'm loath to give credit to short people, but Kyler Murray is having one heck of a campaign right now.
You didn't have to. The point was aggressive.
You know what? They're going to burn you again because Detroit's going to win.
That's fine.
Baltimore visiting Dallas. I got the Ravens.
Also went with the Ravens.
Also with the Ravens.
All right, look it up.
San Francisco at L.A.
Anyone pick the Rams?
No.
Okay.
Rams very hurt.
By
Very
anyone.
hurt.
By
It's
I love how when I say did anyone, it's just assumed did
No.
Gabe
Yeah.
pick the Rams in this one?
And then he'll be right.
Did anyone pick the
So,
Falcons?
I'm allowed to stand up here and be arrogant about it because I'm
You're
technically in the
winning.
lead,
Yeah,
so
you're the
I'm
best.
Like, hey, maybe I got some knowledge.
Falcons hosting the Chiefs.
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 Okay, cool.
Jacksonville visiting the Bills.
I went with Jacksonville.
Interesting.
I feel like
Defend yourself.
Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence gets 2 or 3 of these weird primetime games a year where you remember like what he could be and that he could be good. And I think this is going to be one of those this year. And yeah, that's really my entire basis. And also I figured everybody would pick Buffalo, and so if I get it right, I'll look like a genius.
Yeah, that's not a bad set of reasoning. It's not like Buffalo has been blowing anybody out of the water,
Right.
but on a sheer talent disparity level, playing at home.
They should have the edge.
should.
I'm literally just banking on this being one of Lawrence's 2 or 3 games a year where he looks like the draft pick that he was.
I will not say that it came out of nowhere if that doesn't.
That's fair.
All right, Cincinnati is going to beat
It was a fun
Washington.
one to end on.
Washington,
All
I
right.
picked.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, I did. Look, it's
says
right. It's
that
right
right
there,
there, yeah.
on the paper.
Explain yourself.
I am. I'm writing off that week 1 where the Bengals looked like clowns to me, and I'm just going to keep saying that Joe Burrow is an overrated quarterback, and keep pretending that Jaden Daniels is farther along in his rookie progression than he actually is.
That's fair. All right. I got nothing.
And that's been
That'll do it, folks.
checking the score. We'll see if Gabe is still in first place next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
If I am, I'm going to insert myself in there for no reason once more. But thanks for sticking with us.